Good morning, jet folks and EDF junkies. Here we have the J-650 from XFLY Models. The company already did a pretty good unboxing video, so I believe this is the first one in the US. I'll do it again. I asked some people in RC groups what they wanted to see of an unboxing videos. So they sent a bunch of questions, and I'll try to highlight the things they asked for in that group. So let's just get started. I did remove the manual already from the box. It's right here. I didn't take the box out, I just got the manual out of there real quick. So let me work on getting this box out of the way. Actually, it's never going to be used again. I just cut it open. And with that, we'll get the foam. Here's the first look. Wing spar, other fuselage joiners, and the top wing is there first. Let me get rid of the box as usual. Alright, so let's get on with it. So the first things we're going to do is try to get rid of all this packing tape just so it's get out of the way. Start looking at the... It is beautifully packed. Even the foam has the airfoil on the wings to make sure they stay protected in transit. A little bit different packing. I think it's nice that they protect the wings, the corner of the wings, both the tip and the leading edge here. Control surfaces are already on there. The one for the aileron is already hooked up. And one of the questions people had asked if it had a flap, if it had a foam hinge, or it had a actual hinges. So the answer is the flap itself has a foam hinge, and the aileron has little pin plastic hinges on it. This is just a straight up foam, and this one has little 1, 2, 3, 4 hinges on the aileron. I don't know if you can see them there. So that was one of the close-ups they wanted to see. Get down to the rest of the equipment in here. We have a bag of connectors. I'm assuming this is going to be the fuselage connectors, since the fuselage is in two places or two pieces. These look like the motor extensions, so there's two motor extension wires. Get the other wing out of here. Here's the other wing, double-sided tape. Let's take that also out of the way. Get to the spar, the wing spar, and the two fuselage joiners. Some glue, tiny little screwdriver. The pulse-size gyro. This is the box and instructions, and a Y cable. I guess the gyro is already installed. So now let me just separate the box and get to the bottom piece. Separate the foam. I said box. And in here, it's just a beautiful layout. We have the fuselage, the 2 engine nacelles, the tail. Everything is it's on its own little cradles. No shipping damage at all. The elevators are foam hinged. That's one of the things again that people had asked on RC groups. There is a connector here for looks like a DB9 serial connector from a computer to connect the elevator, the 2 elevators and the light in the tail. Get some of this other foam out of the way. And again, this is a close-up view of the rear components, the tail. Now everybody was asking, one of the other things that we're asking is where the ESCs are installed or connected. So I'll get to that real quick. Here's the other half of the DB9 connector for the elevator and lights. The connectors for the elevator and the light, the servos connectors. Servo, elevator, and rudder are clearly marked. The rudder is also foam hinged. And just for a couple of people out there, J65, not JB or anything else, because everybody was making fun of it, or BJ, excuse me. The J65. We have the same connectors in the wings. Just quick plug-in from the ailerons flap and the other lights. The hatches has the antenna in there so you can lift it up. I mean, that's pretty cool detail if it's scale. If not, I mean, it looks good and doesn't show a big old hatch on there. The lip is in the front, which is great. The back is not magnetic, it has an actual hatch latch. The battery compartment, you can see the pulsar gyro is already installed in there. And for everybody who was asking about the speed controllers, they are on the bottom. You see the vent grill right here in the middle? There's a little vent on there. Both speed controllers are there. So they wanted to know where are they at in relation to the airplane. Well, I'm not gonna put the 2 rods to connect the airplane together right now, or just yet. But I am gonna try to show you guys where it's at in relation to the motors. So the actual motor pods are here, and the extensions here. Let me attach one of the extensions so you can see. So the actual motor extensions, I think they're a little bit long, but they connect. It connects all the way up to the cockpit. So from the nacelle back here, it goes to the cockpit in here, inside the cockpit on the bottom there, and the speed controllers are right below that. Could the wires been shorter? Yeah, if you didn't do the connector there, so to make it easy for you to plug in the speed controllers. You got the Skywalker, both Skywalker speed controllers in there. And you know what? Let me get rid of the cover for a second so I can show you them exactly how they're connected. There you go, the 2 Skywalker 60 amp ESCs. The other thing they wanted to see was a close-up of the landing gear. As soon as I get it connected, I'll take the pictures of the landing gear. Landing lights. One looks like a strobe light or just regular light underneath the fuselage there. Let me get rid of the box. In true Ralph fashion style, that's getting rid of the box. And the connections on the side of the fuselage are the ones that you will connect to the back, to the rear end here. And basically elevator, and then rudder, and the light on the opposite side. They do have this neat servo locking clips on them. There's different styles. This is just the one that's in here. So the two sides will clip onto the other side of the servo extension. Alright guys, we're just gonna go ahead and start the assembly of the G65 or G650. It says 65 in the tail, so they just connect the motor wires to get them going. You're gonna have to get some needle nose pliers, hemostats, whatever you want. Basically, there's three colors, obviously, just like all the other motors. From motor to speed controller: red, yellow, black. So just match the colors. And here's what you're gonna need: some kind of hemostats, pliers, or something to hold the cables while you push them in. The cables are kind of small in there, so you would have a hard time just trying to do it with your fingers. So again, just match the colors: red, yellow, black, and then just get them out of the way for now. I'm gonna go ahead and just put them on the side. Have both motors connected already, both cables connected. And the first thing it tells you to do in the assembly is to put the two fuselage pieces together. You get the two spars, and basically they go on the side of the fuselage to put it together. Not rocket science. It just tells you to put some glue on there. You can use the glue that comes with it. For the sake of getting this over with, I'm going to use some Zap Foam Safe, also available at Banana Hobby. I'm going to put some Zap Foam Safe in there and just get it over with. I'll put a little bit inside the hole on each one of them, and then just dab a little bit on the ends of the rods that are going to go inside the forward fuselage. I'm not going to put any on the rear one yet. So let's just get that in there. And do the same with the other. You know, I don't see it coming apart, so you don't need to put a lot of it. I did put a substantial amount in the fuselage. I let some drip in there big time, and then you see it in here. It's not an excessive amount, but it is a good amount in there. And you just want to make sure that it goes inside there. Let me get a napkin here. And as always, just clean off any excess. You don't want it to interfere when you're closing up the fuselage. So the next thing they want you to do is, on the next step, or step 2 I should say, is get all the wires in there connected. Now, this is where I want to probably deviate. Yeah, connect the aileron, the elevator, the rudder, and the light cable to where they need to go. But if you don't have the nacelles on yet, you're gonna have to just fish the wire later on. I don't see that being as a big deal, so I'm just gonna follow the instructions and do the rear fuselage before I do the actual the tail. Again, they want you to put some little bit of glue around the edges here. There is no paint to scuff up or get rid of here. If you're worried about adhesion, just make a couple of holes, tiny ones. Don't go through, don't get all crazy. And basically what this is going to do is, when you're gluing foam, it'll act as a nail between the top part and the bottom part. So it gives it more of a grab, if you will. And I'm just poking little small indentations on there. So then the CA will go on there and it'll never move again. So, you know, don't get carried away. You don't have to have a lot of them. Just be reasonable with it. And then again, I can put a CA on the tubes. I'm gonna make the connections first before I do anything, before I glue anything, and then we'll go from there. So match up elevator with the elevator over here, and the connection on the rear fuselage is a Fuselage style, and the one on the fuselage on the front fuselage is JR/high-tech style, and the other one is the rear fuselage is Fuselage style. So match the yellow with the white cable, just in case. You know, there's all kinds of people out there. Some of them are collectors that don't like to fly, they just want to have it and show it off. So anyway, again, white with yellow, rudder and rudder. Go ahead and lock them in place. And last but not least, the light. The light is 2 cables on the rear fuselage, coming out of the rear fuselage, and a signal and a brown. So just match up the brown and go with that. All right. Hopefully that comes out okay. I actually want to do. You want to test it before you make a final commitment. If not, your rear light's not gonna work. But it should be just the black and the the black and yellow, because that's power. The yellow, black and red is on one side, black and or brown and yellow on the other side. That's the power one, power needs. So once you have that all connected, go ahead and do a trial fit. And when you're putting it in there, obviously make sure that the cables are not going to get crunched or prevent you from sliding your forward fuselage in to the rear fuselage. And you know, just make sure you're going to get a good connection. I have a gap right here, so I'll work that out right now. And then once I see that it's going to be a good fit, like that, I'll go ahead and pull it back out, and that's when I'll apply some glue. Just like I said, make sure there's no servo cables being squeezed out anywhere. You saw that it was a pretty tight fit in there, getting it in and getting it out. So I'm not gonna worry about putting too much glue on it. I am gonna put some around the little holes I made, and then I'll put a little bit on the spar, and then I'll go again, do it on the other spar and all the way around. Work with your curing time. I'm not sure how long your CA is gonna take, but just make sure you do this with your curing time, so you don't have it issues later on with any gaps or anything else, or you're not able to put the fuselage in properly because it took too long. I'm just gonna hold it in place while it dries to make sure it is in there the tight all the way around. Actually, I'm gonna add some CA to the gap on the bottom. I'll push it in place, and then I'll get excuse me for a second, I'll get my kicker. There we go. Do a couple of squirts right there. And then just like I said, make sure all the way around you don't have gaps, because then it'll just look a little bit off when you're flying it around or when you have it on the floor displaying it. I don't want to crunch the nose while I do this. but I do want to get a good seal all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and do some CA on the top as well. Just get it all in the gap. Clean off any excess, go ahead and close it again. And then, again, clean off any excess I have coming out of there. Then I'll go ahead and squirt it a couple of times all the way around there. And I'll just make sure that it is nice and dry, nice and tight before I proceed here. All right, so now that that's in, the next step they have you do is go ahead and install the engine nacelles in there, if I'm not mistaken. Alright guys, make sure you run your cables through for the engines first, through the fuselage, or else you're going to have to be doing it like me. Basically, you get the model vertically, and then you just drop the cable in there and you just shake it along until it comes out the other end. Now, on the other end here, you're going to have to fish it out. And just get yourself some needle nose pliers. I just happen to have long hemostats, so it makes it easier for me. And then just pull the cable out, and there you go. Now, it's always easier for you to keep track of which one is left and which one is right, so you can plug them in on the right side inside the fuselage. Right now, they're not attached. They're just, this one is just squeezed in there. So line up the spar and then go ahead and put it in there. I'm going to line up the spar on this one and put it in there. The attachment point for these is on the bottom of the fuselage. There's 2 screws. So push them in there. Push the engines in, the nacelles in there. I'm going to go ahead and flip it around here and show you guys. Make sure that I'm not crushing anything over here. Actually, I guess I should get my trusty stand out. Give me a sec here. Put it in the stand. Get your hardware. All the screws are the same all the way around the airplane except for the ones in the tail. So the ones in the tail are longer. They're 3mm screws, and this is a 5/64 Allen wrench. So like I said, just flip it over, make sure the screws holes line up, and start putting in your screws. Now in this case here, the forward one, it was already perfectly aligned. The back one I needed to push in the nacelle a little bit, just line them up and go ahead and, once you got the 2 screws started, then you can go ahead and start tightening them. I don't recommend you start tightening them as soon as you put it in, because then if the other one does not line up, then you're gonna have to remove it and start loosening it basically to get to the other one. So that's why I just get one started, the one that's lined up perfectly, and then work on the second one afterwards. Get one lined up, push in the nacelle where it needs to be, and in this case, on the second one, looks like I might have to hold it a little bit. No big deal. It just needed to be held a little bit while I push it in the screw while I was tightening the screw. So now they're both tight, and you don't have to get carried away, and you don't have to over tighten them. They just have to be tight enough where they're not gonna come out. Don't go breaking the little plastic retainer that's on the bottom of them. Just finger tight. There you go. That's it for the engine nacelles. Now you can install. Next thing they have you install after that is after you install the 4 screws in there. Hey, they want you to install the wing. Now this is where it's going to be up to you whether you glue it on there permanently or you want to have it removable. I gotta have to have the wing off because I usually when I travel, when I go to events, I have multiple airplanes with me. So basically you would just slide in the wing. I'm not gonna go ahead and slide it in right now because it'll get in the way for me to do the rest of the airplane. So I'm just gonna go ahead and proceed to the tail installation. And then we'll come back to the wings. When you're putting it on your stand, make sure you're not going to be damaging the nacelles or any other part of the airplane, obviously. They have you to put on the tail, just basically, you got to lock in your DB9 connector. I'm sorry, I'm a PC guy, so I just know it as a serial connector. So there's one here, and there's one in the back of the fuselage. And here's where the 2 longer screws in the kit are gonna be going into. I believe these are 19 millimeter. Excuse me. They are 3x16s. So they go in from the left side. Just put them in there and start tightening them if you line up your holes. I guess I should turn it around and see if I did line up the holes because it didn't go through right now. Let's line out. They're just long screws. I'm sorry, it takes long. They go all the way through. They go all the way through the tail. So basically, it is coming out almost through the other side. It's a little bit less than flush, but it's a pretty good screw. It goes all the way. It goes all the way across. So. And except for installing the wings, the next thing you do, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and connect the motors to their location in here. The funny part about this part of the build is, or assembly, there's no building, there's just assembly. The actual connectors, you can't see the red, yellow, and black cables in the inside. But if you look at the connector, there's a little dot and a wedge. So that's how you connect them to the 2 different slots in there. So it's not gonna go in the wrong way if you're not able to seat it all the way down, because one has a little stick coming up and the other one has a wedge. Then that's where you know that you're not connecting them properly if they don't seat all the way down. So just look at the connector there and just get the wedge and the dot or the stick coming out in the right position. So the wedge goes towards the back and the dot goes towards the front. Simple as that. There you go. Just make sure they're connected all the way down. They're plugged in all the way down. And then you're basically ready to go. I gotta get a battery with an XT60 connector on it. It has a BEC audio on here, 8 amp UBEC. So when you connect your battery, that'll power up your airplane. If you don't want the same receiver, the same pack to power your receiver, you can add a separate receiver battery by disconnecting these and then just put in a whatever balance lead or not balance connector you want to power your receiver. You still have to connect your receiver. All the leads are there in the front. Let me get this cable out of the way. All your receiver cables come out right here. They're all labeled. The pulsar gyro is installed and fastened down. So then I'll just get me a receiver and start with that, and then I can drop the gear and do a final installation. Take your time trial fitting the fuselage, the rear fuselage to the front fuselage. Get your seal on there nice and tight. Other than that, I mean, it's built. The only thing we have to do is I have to attach the push rod from the servo, from the flap servo to the actual flap. I don't know why they did that for the ailerons and not for the flap. Most likely has to do with the shipping. You know, they don't want it to bend the wheel, bend the push rod or whatever. I don't know if, you know, they got the one for the aileron installed. I don't know why they didn't do the flap one. The push rods are installed. I mean, are included, not installed. The push rod is actually there. They just tell you on the manual which hole they recommend you to put it on for the radio. It tells you third hole on the servo arm from top to bottom. That's for the flap. And it gives you the reference for all of them, even though the other ones for the elevator are already installed, the ailerons are already installed. It gives you a reference of which hole that should be connected. It tells you to install your battery, flight battery, with the power lead going back. And yeah, let me get that going, and then I'll take some pictures of the landing gear and everything else that everybody wanted to see. Thanks. Have a good day.